I'm seeing an awful lot of information go out right now from whistleblowers and people who channel and people who talk to insiders and people who are exposing the truth. And that's great. We need that right now. But there's a danger because I'm seeing a lot of honeypotting going on. Yes, it's noisy out there. And yeah, it is noisy out there. Out there. It's getting very noisy. Don't get honeypotted. I'm watching things happen and I call it honeypotting. Because, like they say, you can catch more flies with honey than you can vinegar. Well, these forces, these beings, these cabals are on the ropes, and they know it, and they're using every trick in the book. And these are really tricky people who've got a lot of experience with deception. And I'm starting to see some of the people that we've looked to, the people that I look to for vital information, who are really tapped in, getting honeypotted. This dark entity, this group, this network is luring people in. People who think they can use their pipeline. I've talked about the pipeline before. They created it. This is where mainstream media and the independent media that doesn't look mainstream but is actually part of the mainstream is the one and only pipeline that reaches the masses. It's heavily guarded. There are those who are venturing onto that playground, into that pipeline, who think that they can maybe utilize it for good, have an impact by getting on the inside and then turning things around. That's very dangerous. Forces out there are really at work. Don't get honeypotted. Push the energy of love through everything you do. Illuminate. Use light, because this pipeline is filled with darkness, and there are those who are in danger right now of using the pipeline, thinking that they've found a way to make a handshake deal that doesn't put them at risk, because those who are in control of the pipeline they don't know what we're actually up to. Yeah, they do know, and they don't care. They're going to let you expose all the crimes against humanity, because with that, they know comes a great deal of fear and anger and disgust. It makes people want to get out there and exact revenge, and that's all they want. Okay? This dark cabal, this entity, this group, just wants to keep pushing darkness on you. And if they can use our community and our thought leaders and our whistleblowers in a way that gets them to push that darkness, they're all for it. It's going to be tricky for us to be able to expose these crimes and these criminals without fear, but we have to find a way to do it. One thing I can tell you about this whole network within our community and the dissemination of truth and crimes against humanity, which need to be exposed, we need to do it in a way that doesn't create fear, that doesn't ride on the back of that fear network. See, just by talking about some of these horrible things, we're putting fear into the world. This is going to be tricky. We need to find a way to do it without inciting fear, anger, resentment, vengeance. Oh man, once you go there, once you go with the vengeance, you get sucked into that black hole that is that dark entity. You need to do it with the opposite, which is love. Love energy is the one thing that pushes all of that away. It switches it off because they cannot stand being around it. You have to push light through the pipeline if you're going to use it. By talking about how horrible things are, it's very dicey. Simply by talking about it in heavy tones of disgust and the warnings carries a lot of darkness with it. See, I talk about how tricky this entity is, this control system, this cabal. They don't have specific tactics, the same kind of tactics we have. It's more generalized than you think. Simply by inciting fear, they're getting what they want. You can go ahead and expose their agenda, but as long as you're afraid of it, and as long as you're disgusted, and as long as you want to get out there with torches and pitchforks, they're getting what they want. You have to do it with love and compassion. And that really may go against your whole belief system and how you feel about these people. What, I'm going to be compassionate towards them? Yeah, because it's the opposite of what they do. You use light instead of darkness. Bring light to the darkness, and the darkness disseminates. It dissipates. It goes away in a puff of smoke. They cannot stand being around that energy. So you have to push love and compassion and understanding and forgiveness. You don't fight fire with fire. That makes the fire bigger. So when we talk about the crimes against humanity and the horrible things that have been committed and are still being committed, and freeing those people who are caught in the grip of all of that, the only way to make it go away is with love. It's a pure energy force, and see it as that. You have to push love through all of this while exposing what they've done so that we can shut it down. It's going to be hard for a lot of us to forgive, but forgiveness is the only way. It's the opposite. It's the water that puts out the fire. And just think of it that way. It's not letting them off the hook. It's a way to contain the problem. By being caught up in three-dimensional thinking, you're missing the essence of where the power comes from. Okay? Consciousness is everything. And consciousness is not physical. Love is not physical, but we can feel it. It's strong. So you got to use the love pipeline, which has got nothing to do with the media. It's got nothing to do with being famous. It's got nothing to do with reaching millions through videos. We have to help our leaders, our whistleblowers, our community sidestep that honeypot. They're allowed to tell their story and allowed to expose the truth and the crimes, and they think that is the apex of what they're here to do. The apex of it is to spread light and love. This is what it's really about. This is what the changing nature of our conscious reality is all heading towards. And this is what we're evolving into. Let's head this off at the pass right now, because I don't want to see these people live with the regret of being tricked by this system of control. Say, here, you want to use the pipeline? Go right ahead. Tell the truth. Yeah, we're on your side, buddy. Go for it. They're not on your side. If you expose the truth in a way that perpetuates fear, that's the only thing they're after. Fear. Just pushing that fear in any which way it takes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them, because that is the only agenda. So when we expose the things that they've done so that we can isolate them and push them out of our reality, our world, and you do that with love and compassion and forgiveness, because you're forgiving yourself, you're forgiving your world and what it means to us, not what they've done to it. Nobody's getting off the hook. They can't come with us if they cannot embrace this love energy. If you cannot move through them, they will no longer be able to be here. And that's the most important aspect of this whole thing. If they can't be here because they can't breathe the same air, they're going to go away. I know some of you are starting to resonate with that. You and I are cut from the same cloth. We are vibrating with that same energy. And it doesn't matter if you're famous, it doesn't matter if you're the author of a particular point of view, or you're the one who exposed a crime. We're doing away with crime by not engaging in it. It's fighting to remain, but it can no longer breathe the same air, and it's panicking because it can't breathe. So it's using every trick in the book to get you to supply it with more of the oxygen it needs. Don't do that.